Good evening, everyone. I'm responding to our post for this week about the PARS activity and the process and the reading in the video that we were supposed to look at and read. Um, I loved the idea. I think that it is really a great way to dissect an activity with the group and learn how to apply it to your own personal situation. In retro, after reading about it and looking at it, I realized that Dr. Glass actually kind of did that with us in class. We just didn't know what it was. So, what a great way to tie in actually experiencing something to your reading and to watching it in another video. So, kudos to you guys for making all of our instruction relevant. Um, I found it interesting that um, during the processing part, everyone has their own little interpretation of exactly what happened. And I think that's because we're all different people and we have all different situations. So, what one activity means for me won't mean the same for someone else. I can even reflect back to when we did it in class. Everyone had their own idea of the intent of the activity. And for the most part, all of the answers were the same, but it's just interesting because you really never know what someone got out of an activity and how they can relate it to their own personal lives. Um, I can use this model, I think, with my fifth graders. I really like the beanbag toss activity anyway because it's kinesthetic, it's moving, it's giving you something to challenge you while at the same time trying to figure out what in the world are we doing. And with fifth grade, I noticed, they are in a place where they're trying to learn how to, change classes because our school has it set up where they can change classes between different teachers. They have to pick up their books, take them with them, remember to bring the right books to the right class, remember which class they're supposed to be going to. And some of them, one of the fifth grade teachers is in a mobile unit. And so they have to kind of go from one place to the other. So it's actually a lot to think about, especially when school first starts. And so I like the idea of doing this activity with them to teach them, the importance of, how to juggle different things at one time. Um, they'll have to remember the person's name, remember who they threw it to, while trying to avoid all the other things going on around them, which is another important piece because, as a student, you do focus on what's going on around you. And as a child, what other people think of you is very important. So I think this activity could serve as a good reminder. It's important to pay attention to what's going on around us, but not so much that it causes us to distract ourselves from what our true goal is. Um, and so it would be great to sit down with them and process, how did you feel about the activity? How frustrating was it for you? And then think about the first day of school and think about changing classes and how's that frustrating? And then maybe even bring it to a social aspect, when you go to lunch, when you're in social environments, how does what's going on around you or what other people are doing affect the way you perform? And of course, in the group, I'm sure there will be quite a few drops considering that they're children. But also, it takes a while to really focus because even as adults, we had quite a few drops. So I think it's a great way to tie in multiple things that could be going on in the life of a fifth grader. I would certainly have to modify. I think I would have to start this off with a smaller group because even, as I said with adults, we were all over the place because we like to have fun and we're not thinking about the intent of the activity first. It's just getting the activity right. And so for them, it's going to be a huge game of catch. But I think after we do it a few times and we do go through this model, we process it, we reflect on it, and we apply it, I think it would be a wonderful way for these students to take, an activity and make it relevant to their own lives. So I would, like I say, have to modify maybe the amount of people I use. I would need to do this in an open space. I think give them room and let them feel like they have a lot of area to kind of work with. Because, in the classroom, we were condensed and we're old enough to work with that, but they couldn't handle that, I don't think. So again, I really like this model. I think it's a great way to interact with a group, to get people up, to get people learning. And, as I was reading, it talked about the importance of a group being able to trust and have respect between each other. So, as they regroup and think about what we did and process it and reflect on it, they would have to understand that everyone has their own perspective and how I felt about it might not be how you felt about it, but that doesn't make it wrong. So, again, I really enjoy this activity, this assignment, and I enjoy reading about PARS and doing it in class. So, thanks, and you guys have a great weekend.